All right, so 19th of August, which is a Friday, video journal take two. I did it earlier, but for some reason it didn't take, so I'll try it again. Anyway, the problems of practice that I encountered on Friday were that I mistakenly did not read all of the Junkyard Wonders before proceeding to do a read aloud before the children. Mistake. I am typically very good at that, but I didn't, and I found out that a child dies in the text. So I stopped the read aloud early. I realized that before school started, though, so it wasn't while I was reading it. But still, I need to work on that. The bathroom breaks take forever to do. Thinking about what I saw Ashley do last year, I think I'm going to start using a stopwatch with um, some kind of reward attached to performing the bathroom break quicker. Um, I'm thinking maybe since there are table points, maybe applying a point to every table for boys finishing on time, and maybe applying an extra point for the table that performs on time um, first or that finishes quickest. What I'll probably do, I mean, I thought about this yesterday, but what I'll probably do is that it'll be a time for the day. Um, so 5 to 7 minutes or something each bathroom break or something like that. Also, I'm thinking about Jeremiah Bell, a child that I mentioned in a previous video journal. He needs something for his hands, maybe something, maybe like a squishy ball or something that he can kind of play with. But I'm scared about him throwing the ball, not at people, but he likes to toss things in the air. So definitely that may be something, but just something for his hands. Any ideas would be greatly appreciated. Also, an idea I had was, some kind of peace building or peacemaking um, apparatus. Having like a crocheting corner or a crafts corner. So like maybe, if a child needs to kind of settle down, put them in that corner. My one of my concerns though is that if they just like to crochet or like to knit or like to make French slip bracelets, I don't want it to be something where they are purposely getting on trouble in order to go there. But for some reason, I doubt that would be an issue for everybody. For some, it will be an issue. Um, and I warn you, this video may go a little over 5 minutes. Yesterday, when I did it, went 11 minutes. I did the friendship bracelet lesson yesterday. I tied it to the Junkyard Wonders. I wanted them to think about how the classroom is becoming a friendly environment. That's not the words that I use with them. Just pretty much how to describe friendship in the classroom. To describe friendship that when they think of friendship, what do they think of? When they think of friends, what do they think of? I should say. And then I tied it to thinking about a friend that they would like to make a friendship bracelet for, and then we proceeded to make the friendship bracelet. Miss Laney was gracious enough to give me, um, a lot of time to do it. Really, I mean, we started with 35 minutes, but she extended it 10 minutes in the moment, and then gave me another 15 minutes at the end of the day. I felt like that was very gracious. She mentioned though that Fridays are good days to kind of do these. If you want to do some kind of tactile thing like a craft or something like that. So I'm wondering if maybe every 2 weeks we could do something like that on a Friday. I'm thinking of every 2 weeks because I'm thinking of budgetary constraints. Being able to pay for the stuff like that. Maybe every 2 weeks. Um, Other than that, something that I had mentioned in the video journal yesterday was just a concern that I had, thinking about me vacillating between teaching, not teaching. Um, I'm just wondering if I'm growing. I mean, the biggest concern that I know of, and I know I've mentioned this before, but just really being not discouraged, but definitely uninspired by the traditional classroom. Um, Most of the classrooms we've seen, I argue all of the classrooms we've seen, have been traditional. Even what I saw at the lab school, I don't find it to be innovative, and that is becoming a concern for me because I'm honestly thinking about whether or not I want to work in an environment that isn't innovative. a teaching environment that isn't innovative. Now, there are some other bigger life type things that are drawing me away from teaching children as well. We could probably talk about that more in depth at another time. But I know in regards to teaching, what I've been thinking about, I mean, and I've mentioned this, right? Waldorf, Montessori, just something that is very different than what I've seen. Um, and just thinking about those kinds of environments. I don't know, teaching at a British school or an IB. I mean, I don't know, something that is just different, very different than what I've seen, what I'm used to. Um, where I may be able to utilize a pedagogical stance that's different than what I'm used to. Um, Something else, and I feel like through exploration this year, I might be able to locate that thing that makes me excited about teaching or keeps me excited about teaching. Um, but I know right now, if I continue to see a traditional classroom in the way that we've seen it thus far in UTEP, I feel like I will feel very comfortable locating and identifying and even articulating what effective instruction looks like. Um, but I'm not going to be inspired to do it myself. Um, and that is a problem. Um, Other than that, I've been thinking about. Um, oh, there was, I was invited to give a panel talk, or at least to propose a panel for a conference going on in New York City in April. Um, it's in New York, so I'm going to find every way to make that happen. um, but something I was thinking about actually was talking a little bit about Soul Strand, because I do feel like Soul Strand offers an opportunity for a radical shift in teaching pedagogy. Um, Something I was talking to Nick about yesterday in the car when he was talking about just wanting to create an environment where teachers and other adults in the building do not default to a violent or aggressive stance towards children. And I mentioned to him that one of the challenges is to encourage adults to engage their own relationship with children as children themselves, so their relationship with childhood, but then also their relationship as adults to children. And I feel like Soul Strand is a place where that kind of engagement can happen. And I understand that that isn't necessarily, at least not the stated objective of Soul Strand, but I feel like there's something there. I mean, I was thinking about what I got out of Soul Strand last year. So I'm thinking about writing a paper on that. Almost, if you will, proposing a Soul Strand for everyone. um, but I would like to talk more about this in the coming months, weeks, I should say. The proposal isn't due until November, but I'm getting pretty good pressure to do it from people in New York and other folks I know in North Carolina who want to be on the panel as well. And I want to do it. To be frank, I want to do it. Um, the last thing is when I'm thinking about what I mentioned yesterday was that one of the reasons, this is kind of jumping all over the place, but one of the reasons that I've really been sticking this out is the idea that if I go into a school building as something other than a teacher, dean of students, disciplinarian, culture of calm coordinator, principal, any of these other things, assistant principal, any of these other positions, my concern is that, I want to have street credibility with the teachers, and essentially having done only, what is it, 1 year of reading work with third graders in New York City, 2 years as a teaching assistant in the math science middle school classroom, 1 year as a lead instructor in biology and African American history, and 2 years of UTEP. Um, you know, I mean, irregardless, I'm going to get talked about anyway by people who are going to talk about me, right? Even if I taught for 5 years, but I didn't teach for 10. If I taught for 10 years, I didn't teach for 15. I didn't teach for 20, right? I'll probably always encounter people who have taught longer than I have. But I know that one of my concerns was just wanting to be able to have some kind of credibility with those teachers that I talk to. Do you think that's necessary? I mean, if I go directly into like a doctorate program in education, or do something like the Peace Corps and then go to Harvard's EDD program, EDLD, I think, in leadership. Um, I mean, I don't know. If I do stuff like that, I mean, I don't feel like I can't do an effective job. Um, as long as I'm reflective and humble and, strive to be whatever. I mean, just let me know what you think about that. And if that wasn't clear enough, feel free to ask for clarification. I can clarify. Um, but yeah, thanks anyway. I assume you won't see this until Monday, so have a good Monday.